Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. We have here today a very special guest. Please welcome a legend in the adult entertainment business. Please welcome Ryan Connor. Ryan, how are you?
I'm good. Surviving every day, man.
And this is your first Zoom interview. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm taking your technology virginity, it seems.
Yeah, my Zoom virginity. Whoop whoop.
I cannot believe that you've never had a Zoom interview before. That's crazy, especially in today's times.
Yeah, yeah. Like I told you before, I saw the movie The Net and never wanted to touch a computer. And I think it has always made me a bit apprehensive about technology. You know, I'm a little gun shy, especially like with social media now and that kind of thing. Just, I
Well,
don't
you
know.
got a good looking setup there. I mean, you must be on a really nice computer. Your picture looks great and everything. For this to be the first time
Mac,
you've ever done it, it looks, yeah, well, there you go.
Mac.
Apple never fails to disappoint, I don't think. So, this meeting was kind of brokered by a friend of mine named Shelby Dahl. How
Yeah.
do you know Shelby?
Through Miles Long, the porn star director, you know.
Photographer?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he wears many hats.
Yeah.
Um, he said you really need to meet this girl. She can probably get you into everything, and there you go. Rest is history. So she hits me up all the time. Hey, do you want to do this cover? Do you want to do that? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I'm like, hold up. Let me breathe. Yeah. She's
Yeah.
been hitting me a lot. And it's like, ah.
She's great, man. I reached out to her on Instagram and was like, hey, would you be interested in coming on the show? Because we have a lot of adult performers on, and she's like,
I
let me
watched
check
her.
out your pro. Oh, you did?
I did.
Yeah. So she's like, where are you at? And I told her South Carolina. And she's like, we're coming to Greenville for the Bunny Bash. So I went down there and seen that was kind of like their kickoff tour. And then I even went to Vegas to the
Oh,
graduation up there at I think it was Deja Vu in Vegas.
cool.
That was this past March, I believe it was. So yeah, she's super cool, man. She hooks me up with a lot of people. Retiring is what she said. Gonna go back and or go and do more training.
Yeah. I don't really know a lot of what she's got planned, but if she's doing things the way I think she's doing things, she's got it under control.
Oh yeah, she's
Yeah.
training all these girls. Like she trained every girl that performed at the Bunny Bash graduation up there in Vegas, and I mean, they were ready. And it's not like no laid back shit. Like she's holding it to their ass, and I mean, you could tell those girls were on point. Everything was phenomenal. All the shows went off without a hitch, so it was good. And I think that's her thing now, and she's killing it. But again,
Awesome.
shout out to Shelby Dahl for brokering this meeting. But we'll get into you here. So, where did you grow up?
I lived in California till I was 8, and then I moved to Idaho.
I don't know. What is in Idaho?
Absolutely nothing.
I guess a potato or something.
I think that maybe my parents were a little bit ahead of the curve, but I think that people are starting to, well, I take that back. There is definitely a distinct two groups you either fall in. You love cities and you can't wait to suck down that pollution, or you can't stand it and you got to get away. And my parents were of the latter. So I grew up in Pocatello, Idaho. It was absolutely gorgeous. And when I first moved there, I hated it because I was a California girl, even though I was a young California girl.
How old were you when you moved to Idaho?
8. But you just start school, you get comfortable with school and this and that, and then you're uprooted and it's like, I hate it. And then I had 2 older sisters and they were like, I hate it. And you know, back then California was looked at like it was the coolest state on the planet.
That's what I was gonna say. Like any 8, obviously it would probably still be a bummer, but like especially if you were in your teen years, man, and you had to leave California to go to Idaho, that would have had to fucking
Yep.
suck.
Yep. But in retrospect, I mean, I love California. To me, it's the prettiest state in the union, and I'll tell you why. Because it has everything. There is not a climate it misses. It has literally everything. It has desert, it has mountains, it has snow, it has beaches. There's not another state you can go from snow skiing to surfing in the same day. Not one.
Yeah,
So it's absolutely gorgeous, has everything, but I feel like they're just going into a zone that I don't recognize. And so I feel for Californians.
yeah. Well, and I'm speaking back then, not necessarily now. Now Idaho might not look like such a bad move, but back then, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's where everything was going on, everything was happening. And you
Yep.
were actually raised up Jehovah's Witness, is that right?
I was, and I'm gonna tell you, to each his own, but that just is not for me. I don't believe in religion. I'm
I'll be
very
honest.
spiritual.
Yeah, very
Believe
well.
in
See,
religion.
I'll be honest. I don't even know what like Jehovah's Witnesses. All I know is sometimes they would knock on your door very early on a Saturday morning, but I don't even know anything about it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, I was raised that. I left that 21. I left, I parted ways. And they have changed their doctrine even since I was there. So I don't know what they believe now. I know they don't believe in most holidays. They don't believe, I mean, the only thing they'll celebrate is an anniversary, no birthdays, no Christmas, no nothing, which is fine. I'm all for that too. Like I can see that side of the story. Oh, it's pagan, it's this and it's that. Yeah, I get it. Um, but I think the for me, as far as that goes, is the key is to celebrate life. So anytime you can celebrate, celebrate
Yeah,
because it's life, you're alive, you know. Just be happy you have family to celebrate with, right?
absolutely.
But
Were there strict rules against like dating and shit, or like what was their I guess
um
policies, but
so
terms and
let me
conditions,
just
I guess.
let me just preface everything that I say with the fact that my mother was a rape victim. So everything she did regarding the religion was probably taken 5 steps more than it needed to be taken
Right.
because of that, you know. So yeah, it's just a really clean, really moral, upstanding way to live your life, you know, to each his own.
Right.
If you don't believe in premarital sex, uh, okay, you know. I was a clean person. I got married at 18. I was married a virgin. He was a virgin. I mean,
Really?
it's a
Married a
clean,
virgin at 18.
yeah,
Was that because you were following the religion or just by choice or okay.
following the religion. I so maybe it works for somebody not having premarital sex. Um,
I think that's hard. You got I mean, like who the fuck just goes and buys a car without a test drive? You got to know what you're dealing with.
exactly. And not only that, but I mean, it takes practice to be good. So
Yeah.
if you know, like I don't know. Now, I am also going to say I'm not a huge believer in, I live my life because it's a profession.
Right.
You know, I don't go out there and just have sex randomly with absolutely everybody and anything that I can get my hands on.
And for
I,
whatever reason, guys think that that is how it is. Oh, she's a porn star. I can get laid. I'm like, dude, you're like, that is her job. That's not what she wants to do
in fact,
every
you
minute.
probably stand less of a chance with the porn
Yeah.
star
Like,
than
so
with
do you think she
anybody.
wants to work while she's not on the clock? Really? Like,
Yeah,
it's really crazy that that's still after all these years of this business that's still like the first thing
the
that's
mentality.
yeah.
Yeah. That
It's
we're all nymphos. We can't go 5 seconds without getting laid. How often? I mean, I have people on OnlyFans asking me how often I come every day. I'm like, maybe when I go to bed and it's probably by my own hand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but you can't say that obviously because people would just,
hey, I'm
they
on
need to
turn
believe in the
three now.
fantasy.
Yeah, I'm on number 3 right now. What about you?
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Like, I don't know how anyone could like plan on being with someone the rest of their life and not test those waters sexually because let's be honest, like sex is a major part of any healthy relationship or marriage,
And
and you
how do
have
you
to know if
learn
it's going to
about
work.
stuff? If
Yeah.
if you're believing that it's wrong to view porn, right? And you're only going to marry that person and that person's only been with you and you've only been with them. How do you discover new stuff?
Yeah.
How do you even know how to, like, I mean, women are a little bit of a puzzle piece, right? And you got to figure that out. If you're just out the gate, you would never know.
Yeah.
Never.
So you never watched porn before you got married either?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're at 100% in agreement with that. It's hard to live by that code. I think times have definitely changed in that aspect because if it's, I mean, some people just don't have sexual chemistry. They might can be good friends, but the chemistry is just not there. And if the chemistry ain't there, it's a matter of time before they find someone who they have the chemistry with, and then it's just,
Right.
a divorce and what have you, and it's just not good for all parties
Yeah.
involved.
Yes. 1,000%.
So, how did you wind up dipping your toes into this water? Like, did you start out dancing? I always find that to be the coolest.
Yeah. Don't all of us girls start out dancing?
That's how it starts.
I was a dancer. I got pregnant. I had my daughter. And then, I was living in San Diego, and San Diego just maybe all over, but San Diego in particular took an economic downturn. And man, it was just regular dancing was kind of hard. Like there was no money to be had. And so I tried featuring a bit and this and that. And then a girlfriend was like, I know how we can make some money. I know a guy. And I'm like, what
That's
do you mean?
also how
He's
it starts.
like, right. Oddly enough, he happened to be an owner of a company that does all gay flicks down in San Diego. And he shot her and I together, and then he shot me 2 more times. And I was like, this is great. They'll pay me to do this? Really? Like, where can I do this more?
Now, was
And
this girl, guy, girl? What was the scene?
he shot me with her first, so girl. And then he shot me with two guys, not on me. He's all gay, all
Right.
his stuff is gay. So two guys, and I was plopped in there. And then I think he did that one more time, and then he's like, "Honey, I can't shoot you anymore. You're like, I'm gay porn."
Yeah.
So guy gay porn. So I
That's
said,
all I can do.
yeah, exactly. There's nothing more. I just don't have a fondness for women. So there you go. And I said, well, would you know how I would do this more if I wanted to, make more, do a career out of this? He's like, here, let me give you TJ Hart's number. So he passed me TJ Hart's number, and I called her up, and she's like, girl, sure, no problem. Here, let me give you this name and number, this name and number, this name and number, So it was like, let's see, Wicked, Vivid, VCA, and probably Metro, or, one of the other ones. I think it was Metro. Sorry, I don't know how to shut off is that my,
I don't know what
my
that was. I thought it
sounds?
might have been a dog or something. I didn't know what that was.
I think it's there, maybe that'll remedy it. Anyway, so I contacted all those people that she sent me to, and sure enough, they were like, come on in, let's take some Polaroids, and the rest is history.
Wow. Now, with that being your first scene with your friend, like, had you experimented with girls before at that point? Was this a first go round?
Well, okay, so I think when you're in the dancing world, it's just kind of like, well, there's a naked body and there's a naked body, no big deal. And you find yourself in situations because, like, I mean, we're human. We, have customers that come in that we say, hey, you're kind of hot. And, she thinks you're kind of hot too. You want to go home? So having said that, yes, I had been in sexual situations, but never really like on a girl,
Mhm.
just as a accessory, I
Right.
guess. So yeah, it was it's funny too, when we were going to do it, she didn't tell me what we were going to do. She's like, let's pick up some, I think they were called Zimas or something like that back then, like a
Yeah,
wine cooler kind of
the
thing.
clear beers. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, let's pick up some Zimas on our way. I said, okay, are you gonna tell me what we're gonna, like, where are we going? For all I knew, we were going to a drug deal. I don't know. And we get there, and it was like, oh, I said thank God because I was kind of a little bit worried about what she had planned, you know.
Right.
Um, and it was easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And
Super
this
easy.
was what, around like 99?
Yep, 99.
Now, did you continue to dance after that too, or was it once you got the taste of that, it was just straight porn from there on out?
You know, I tried at first. It's funny, because I had an agent, a feature agent, and that girl was like, you know, honey, if you do a little bit of porn, your name's going to be huge and this and that. And I'm like, okay, you know, like I did this and that good, you know. And she's like, no, no, you got to go with the big ones, right? So it
Mhm.
just kind of like fell in. And I was like, okay. So then I started shooting. And once I started really shooting for the big companies, there was no reason to dance.
Right. And I do know that, like, with you being, or not necessarily you in general, but like just anybody that is in the porn business, when they go to feature at a club, I'm sure that brings a little bit more money than just, being a house dancer. But like you said, if you're making that much back then,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to justify.
Here's the conundrum I find with that. I would love to feature. I love dancing. I love that environment. People are having fun and it's always a blast, right? But the hours that you're featuring are generally like midnight to 2, right? Like something crazy like that. And at the time, I had a 3-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, even back then, every shoot, I usually did anal. So my shot was usually, my scene was usually the first one up, which means I have an 8 a.m. call time. I'm not going to be up midnight to 2 a.m. dancing my shtukas off and, wherever, and then trying to rush to bed and be up, for an anal scene. Woo.
Now, is that like a correlation because it's anal? Is that early in the morning? Like, is that just the way they should?
I think so the routine of us anal girls is generally that we stop eating the night before. We
Right.
might actually do a clean the night before, but then the morning of, we do a more cleaning
Right.
out, of
Mhm.
the perspective hole.
Yeah.
So
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
it's amazing to me that some people just think it's always clean, like you could just fuck it anytime, no big deal.
No, it's not. It's not a very clean place for
No,
anyone.
no,
Not
no,
That's
no.
not to nitpick any certain individual. Everybody's is not very sanitary.
And to each his own. Some people like that. Hey, if that's your thing, do you, boo boo? Um, but that's not what we shoot generally in the industry, right?
That's going to cause a reshoot.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
Cut.
yeah, so generally we don't eat. If we're doing anal, we don't eat. And if you're not eating, you could be quite cranky. So
Right.
I think they try to get us in and out as fast as possible the day of the shoot. That means I'm first up. I'm gonna get it shot, get it out, and then I can eat.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So not a lot of late night shoots with that. What was the first time, like, or did you ever experience anything that they wanted you to do where you was like, I'm not sure about this, or yeah, apprehensive?
Yes. Yes. And I shot it and it's recorded somewhere. And that was more recently too, I think, since I made my comeback. I'm trying to think of, I don't even know what it's called, to be honest with you. Um, I shot this scene and it was the scenario was this guy wanted to come in and he wanted a massage and he wanted me to eventually obviously do more.
Mhm.
Um, but he wanted to role play like he was my son. But the lines they were feeding me was like, that's almost crossing a fucking line,
Yeah.
Like, okay, you can't come in me this time, but next time you can, and maybe we can make a brother and he can join us in the play. And that was just like, I looked at him when they were feeding me this line and I'm like, really? Yeah, go for it, no problem. Because in real porn, I mean, this was real porn, don't get me wrong, but it's a company that I would say is fringe porn, which means it's expendable company, right? They probably make the company expecting to be sued.
Yeah.
That's something that, like, you're walking a line there. Big companies like Wicked and back in the day Vivid, and
Yeah.
you know, we could not even say that you're my son. It has to be you're my stepson, because
Right.
son is illegal.
Right.
You know, even though we know you're not my son, we still can't say that because it's illegal, and they won't even fuck with that.
And won't that'll get a lot of videos pulled and stuff, like from certain sites. Like if it's anything like you said, direct relation, that'll get it pulled.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I don't even understand the logic in shooting that. I got to look at that director and be like, what the fuck are you thinking here, pal?
Walking a line. It's walking a line, you know?
Wow. How long before you done like your first gangbang?
Wow. I'm trying to think. I don't think I did it in my first. So I had like 8 years that I worked in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and then I took a 10-year break, and then I came back. And I think it was when I came back, and I think the first one might have even been for Kink or Brazzers, one of those two. I have not done very many. They're not my favorite to do, and I'll tell you why. It's a lot of dick to keep up after. There's just a lot going on, and it's almost like I'm being overwhelmed. Where, you're just like wandering around, like, I don't know what to touch next, you know? Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people have a hard time with it. Not me, the man, you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It seems
So
like that would be a bitch to choreograph and everything. I mean, I know from the viewer at home, they're seeing everything edited and cut down and it's going seamless, but it doesn't really go that way while you're shooting it.
very rare occasions. I believe it's for I'm pretty sure it's for Brazzers. And I can't remember the director's name, Tony something. Anyway, um, he's been long standing in the industry. He hired God, I don't even remember all their names now at this moment, because you put him on the spot and I can't remember, right? But another director in the industry was male talent. Um, Xander Corvus was male talent. So there were like Jordy was male talent. It was probably the most fun I've had in a long time. First off, the people on set are a hoot, and they're constantly playing jokes on each other and fucking around. So you're constantly laughing on set. But then when it comes time to fucking, they all fuck very well. Like, they're fun to fuck. So I can say all that, right?
Absolutely.
I thought for a minute, like, ooh, maybe I'm not supposed to be saying those words. Exactly.
No, you're totally
Um, so it was a blast. And the only thing I say is, like I said, some males haven't really been in that encounter very much. And so maybe they're a little intimidated, maybe they're a little bit, whatnot. Jordy was having just a little bit of a hard time. And so he just he gets really hot easily. And so he was like, I'm just gonna stand over here and cool off for a second. And I'm here, everybody's busted nuts on my face. I'm sitting on the floor and I'm like, well, I got one more to go. And I look at the director and I said, what about you? And so I did him. While we waited for Jordy.
no stone unturned there, by God.
Right. It was a fun set. It was fun.
So what do you classify as fun to fuck? Like, what does that encompass to you?
People that can make me laugh, make me smile, easy to interact with. Fun on set could be I am coming, or at least I'm feeling good physically,
Mhm.
you know. But mostly I think it's my brain. I think women are much more brain oriented, right? You turn me on, you could be ugly as sin. If you turn on my brain, activate my brain, you talk to me, like, get me interested in something, right? Intellectual conversation. And then oof, panties are flying, right? That's just the way the girls work.
And I've heard you say before that you actually come more through anal than vaginal.
I do and I don't. Let me say that as I have aged, other things have happened. with my body, and I find that I am much more sexual, I think, now, but the window of my attention span has narrowed. So nooners are great for me, but towards the end of the evening, the stress of the day and everything is just taking its toll, and I'm tired and I'm like, whatever. But nooners are great. I have, my peak sexuality during that time. And I think I know more about what I like and what I enjoy now. So I think I know how to ride somebody and know how to get off, and maybe they know me better too. Like, I don't know.
So is that like what you would consider probably your favorite way?
Riding on top of a guy.
Yeah.
It depends on the shape of your dick, to be honest with you. Some guys point it down and it's always been tucked down and therefore it always points down. Well, turn me over. That's because you're going to rub the right spot. So it just kind of depends on your body. And I've had people, here's another thing too. I've noticed as I got older, I'm not stretching as much. My skin isn't as pliable down there. And so, I used to be able to take some pretty big dick. And now it's like, could you just lube that up and stretch it a bit, before we get started?
A little
So
pre-exercise going on down there.
little changes as you get older. I'm 52, so
Well, you don't look 52.
52.
Um, I think that's interesting that you know what your peak sexual time of the day is. I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
if the average woman would even know what it is.
Really? No, God. Oh my God. I'll be sitting at the desk doing, I'm working and I'm like, it's time. I might even stop, you know?
I mean, throughout work, you're doing this, it's on camera. It is a job, but at the same time, I can already tell by this conversation, you do seem like the kind of person that has fun doing it. I've heard girls say that I've had on the show that sometimes it wasn't even enjoyable because of all the extracurricular stuff that was going on. There's cameras, there's this way, you're having to stop, you're having to move. Wasn't
Definitely.
enjoyable.
Definitely. And it depends on who you're shooting for. I shot back in the day for one director. God, I can't remember his name either. He was a contract director for VCA. Um, Big gentleman, very big, died of complications due to diabetes. So had issues. He was a strange duck. Oh my God. He had marked in his office on his wall were the height of all his girls. And he would pair up the same height because it was his belief that they looked better together. And if you were one of his girls, he bought you a pair of moccasins. That was his thing. Anyway, he had some strange beliefs. First off, he was like, never do interracial. That's the boys back home don't want to see that.
Mhm.
Little did he know, right?
Yeah.
And then he had a rule that the male talent could never kiss the female talent because he said those guys don't want to believe that you guys are intimate, like enjoying each other. They just want to believe you're fucking, right? And they want to put themselves in your place, but they don't want to see their girl getting kissed by somebody else. I said, that's weird. That's just weird.
I can see that, but not by the majority.
I think everything is broken now. Like every rule that you could say, oh, they don't like this. There's a niche for everything.
Yes.
So you can't say anything anymore. There is a niche for hairy bitches. There is a niche for everything. So those rules just you can't even they're non-applicable. Anyway, he would have you shoot he would change the position so much. I never watched any of his films, so I don't know how they came out. I can only say that since he was a contract director, I gotta believe they were good.
Right.
But all sorts of noises coming out of my computer. Sorry, babe. He would have you change constantly, like, okay, next position, okay, next position. And you're like, but you didn't even get this one. I just barely got started, you
Yeah,
know?
a couple more strokes there, pal, before you change this up.
Right? You want people to actually have fun, don't you?
Now, in doing this, and like I said, it definitely seems like you are someone that enjoys this and has fun. Has it ever come to a point to where someone in the business you do develop feelings because you're doing one of the most intimate things, but it's kind of like that is your job. So when the job's over, do you just go back to reality or whoever you may be with at the time, or does sometimes those feelings just kind of cross over?
Um, I think it could, but I was already, I was like 28, 29 when I got in the industry.
Mhm.
And that wasn't the life I wanted to live.
Right.
God bless them. There's some fabulous boys in the industry. I love them, and they're probably great guys. But I have also seen guys that are with girls in the industry be like, hey, what are you doing afterwards? Because I got cleared to fuck you today for my scene, and then it's not technically cheating. So let's go, like somewhere and do this. And I'm like,
A
okay,
workaround.
yeah. And while I get it, I do. First off, I'm not that desperate. And second, that puts a whole lot of um suspicion in my brain. So then I'm never gonna trust anybody because I already, I've seen behind the curtain, right?
Right.
I know Oz is back there moving the levers, so I can never trust the curtain again.
Now, does it make it hard to maintain a relationship with someone that is not in the industry? Because that's not an easy thing. It
Extremely,
definitely can be done, but it's not easy. I don't.
extremely difficult. Yeah, extremely difficult. I think most of the guys that I have dated have at some point in time thought that they were going to get me to quit. That is never why I have ever taken a break or quit. Uh, and I might have even said, yeah, it'd be great, But I've done this now almost 25 years, now. So there's no quit. I can't quit. There's no quit in me. It's a career, you know? I'll do it as long as I have an audience. Let's put it that way.
Now, during your first, I don't know if tour would be the right word, but first stint in the business, you had a very close call with an actor, Darren James.
I did. Yes. 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 Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, like how you found out the news, how close in
Yeah.
proximity the scene was. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, man, he was such a sweetheart. I've lost touch with him. We were friends. Um, I think her name was Miss Marissa. If you're making all that noise, you can't be in here. Sorry. A lot of noise here. Um, Miss Marissa was a dear friend. Her and I used to go out all the time.
That's Arroyo. I don't know how you say her last name. Okay.
Arroyo.
Okay.
Yep. Um, so I got the news in like 3 weeks after he got infected. And so 3 weeks from the time that I had shot with him, which is back then we tested monthly.
Right.
Now we test every 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm sure the standard of test is different now. There was ELISA then, and now it's, PCR DNA. So very different test. Um, he went down, I believe the story is that he went down to Brazil or
Yeah.
somewhere in South America.
Brazil is
And
what I read.
yeah, and got jiggy with somebody down there outside of shooting. And that is what I've noticed is the biggest problem in our industry is not what happens in the industry, it's what happens extracurricularly with other people, and then you bring it to the industry.
I think if I'm not mistaken, she was like a movie star in Brazil,
Really?
not an adult film star, but an actual movie star down in Brazil, I think. And I thought I wrote down her name, but I don't see it. But yeah, I mean that had to be scary because it was
Terrifying.
Marissa, Laura Rox, and Jessica D all wound up testing positive.
Yep. Terrifying.
I mean,
And I
so
met with Marissa afterwards, and she was like, my life's over. He took my career. I don't have nothing. And she actually, that was her real name. she shot with her real name. So she was falls to the wall.
No
Like,
fallback on that.
no,
Wow.
no,
I
that was
mean,
her.
and what was his? I mean, did they obviously? I'm assuming, like you said, that they took a career. They blamed him. I'm assuming for going outside of the center because as crazy as it sounds, like you're in a relationship with the business. If you're going to be in this business as a male performer, then you really just need to fuck people in the industry and not
Well,
outside of it.
fucking outside of the industry is fine. Have them test.
Right. Yeah.
There are no one night stands without a condom. Don't
Right.
be stupid. You have a commitment to the rest of us to keep us safe and clean, a responsibility,
Right.
because it's our lives on the line, literally our lives on the line.
Now, during that time, were they using condoms when you guys were shooting or not?
Only wicked.
Only wicked.
Yep.
Wow.
Only wicked.
What was the fallout of the landscape like after that happened? Like amongst the end, because I know shooting shut down for a little while in certain areas.
That was around the time that I started drifting out of the industry. Um, don't get me wrong, it took me a little bit longer to actually take my big 10-year break,
Mhm.
but man, when you're faced with that and you're like sweating it out until the next, because it has a window of like 3 months. Back then, that was the
Yeah.
window of 3 months. So I didn't know if I had it,
Yeah, that's a hellacious 90 days to fucking wait.
Now, I never was contacted by, but what was the company back then? It wasn't ABN. Anyway, I don't remember the company that did all our testing. But I never got contacted by them. So I assumed that I was outside of the loop of the infected people.
Right.
But, it's still a nail biter for 3 months.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's gotta be like so much fucking pressure you can't even imagine.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? It's funny because this industry really spoils us. We make a lot of money and we make a lot of money really fast, really easy. It's, normally you're on set 2 or 3 hours, you have some fun, you go home, no big deal. I mean, obviously it depends on the set. Browsers might be a little bit longer. That's nowadays. Back then, you might shoot a feature every now and then, but those are once a week. Then
Yeah.
the rest were gonzo, like, I mean, it just wasn't as much as everybody thought, right? So we made a lot of money really fast. What if it's just like done?
Yeah.
You can't work anymore. Then what do you do? Flip burgers at McDonald's?
Yeah. And because you kind of get that stigma, because once a porn star, always a porn star, it doesn't really matter what you try to parlay, what
Yep.
career you try to parlay after that, you're still going to be known as the porn star that maybe now sings or acts or whatever. You're not going to be able to shake that.
And the stigma, if you have HIV,
Fucking 10 times worse, 100 times worse.
oh, there's that, there, and people are whispering behind your back. There's that porn star that has HIV.
Yeah, I think he even attempted suicide at one point, and then he wound up suing the adult industry healthcare system. And I think they settled. I couldn't find out a number of what they settled
Wow.
for, but I don't really get how like they would be liable for that if it was found out that he was having sex with somebody that wasn't even in the industry and that's where he got it. I would
Yeah. I
think
don't
that
know.
would be covered. Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, that's stupid to me.
And
Have
then
a protect your weenie.
And you said that was kind of close to where you were going to make your first exit. Obviously, that probably pushed you a little bit harder, but then
Yep.
you decided to come back. What made you come back?
So in 2015, my daughter was 18. Yeah, I think she was 18. And she decided to get into the industry.
Mhm.
And she shot maybe 3 or 4 months. And she was a little, I think an 18-year-old is a little young. Definitely to make a decision like this. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can get a tattoo then, but you can't vote and you can't, go buy alcohol and this and that and the other, right? You still
Mhm.
need permission for those things. So I think there's a gray line of what somebody who's 18 should be allowed to commit to. Um, the industry is very, very specific now because there's so much access to it. The minute you make 5 minutes, it's on the internet, it's spread everywhere. I don't care what you've done. I mean, Kim Kardashian, their empire was built on that, right?
Yeah.
Her 5 minutes of fame became an empire,
Yeah.
and it wasn't the father's name, it was her little stint of video, right?
Yeah, very few people remember that her father was, a very major key role player in the O.J. Simpson trial. Nobody knew that, but like you said, I don't think I had ever heard of Kim Kardashian until that sex tape, and then after that, I've not been able to not see her plastered all over everywhere,
Everywhere.
and now all of her sisters and siblings.
Kudos to the mother, because I think she was just the person that, she was the brilliance behind that empire,
Yeah,
basically. But yeah, I think when you're that young, I think there are very few girls who could say they've lived enough that they know and can make a decision to that kind of reputation, permanent reputation.
did she
So
come to you when she wanted to get in the industry?
we were having brunch with her. She had, I think, two girlfriends with her, and the girlfriend kept like nudging her and say, "So are you gonna tell your mom?" And I'm like, "Tell me what?" She's like, "Well, I want to do porn. I think I want to do porn." And I've heard people say some pretty nasty shit about me as a mother, that I got my daughter in the industry or whatever. They can shove it where the sun don't shine. That is not something I wanted for my daughter, not because it's a bad industry, because it's a heavy one. It's a heavy decision to make.
Mhm.
And it's a permanent one. Once you've done it, it's done.
Mhm.
There's no untaking it. So I'm a big believer in, why don't you go chase a dream, chase some schooling, chase some this, chase some that, be a little free for a while, and then decide, I'm 25, I want to make some money, or, whatever it is.
Mhm.
For me, the industry was a godsend. I had a 3-year-old daughter. I was having a hard time making money. I could be the mom and the dad and still raise my daughter myself, so to me it was like, yes, where can I do this more? But for her, she had my backing, so I would have put her through whatever school and done it, whatever you want to do, go chase it for a little while. If you want to just fuck around and be in love, go chase that for a while. Like whatever it is you want to do, just dream a little bit, right? And sorry, busy day here. um she came to me, she wanted to do that. It wasn't really what I wanted her to do, but I had her sit down with Jonathan Morgan, who was running an agency, who's a friend of mine. And, they talked to her. They had a long heart to heart talk to her about what to be expected from the industry and what you're about to step into. And she was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I said, hey, then I'm fully supportive of it. If you have made the decision and you're going to do it anyway, I'd rather guide you to the right thing to do in the industry than guide you than not and say I'm against it and let you go on your merry way and fuck up along the way.
Right. Yeah, and I get that logic because if they have to go, like I'm sure you probably experienced maybe dealing with the wrong companies or dealing with the wrong people that didn't maybe want to pay in a timely manner. So you can guide her like, okay, if you're going to do this, seek out this person, this person, this company, this company. You can help her, not fall and make as many mistakes as you did along.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
And
Now,
you made a good point. Like, back in your day, like in the early days of VHS, you could do one or two films, decide, hey, this isn't for me, and it could very possibly not be seen
buried.
Be buried because they're making these porns so much, and VHSs were somewhat scarce. But now, like you said, once you do that and it goes on, one of these sites, it is fucking out there forever. There is no changing.
Yeah, not only is it on a site, but every computer, if the guy likes you, he's saving it and he's replicating it and he's putting it somewhere. I mean, not to get on this topic, but I have had people request scat films and then they will send me, no, I want it to be done like this. And they will send me this girl's video and I'm like, really? I bet you that girl had no fucking clue
Mm-hmm.
that it would be just sent out like that, like it's a niche and it's fanatical. And those people that like that a particular niche or a particular thing, there are men that absolutely loved my daughter's porn because she was my daughter,
Right.
you know,
I
and
mean,
that
I think
whole new
that's
people.
always kind of a thing that's going to appeal to certain men, the mother daughter thing. That's just one of those things like the schoolgirl outfit or the librarian or the school teacher. It's just those types of fantasies are never going to go away.
Yep. No, I 1000% agree. Yep. In fact, when I made my comeback, um, so she had a little bit too much too soon and started kind of partying a little bit and missing call times and that kind of thing. And the industry is extremely forgiving, but right off the bat, they're like, we can't shoot you anymore. So she was kind of like this, and then I came out and my comeback was so huge. Nobody ever thought after 10 years that I'd make a comeback. And I made my comeback. And I swear to God, every director that I saw was like, so will you shoot with your daughter? Every one of them. Even people I never dreamed would ask me that. Like I knew directors that actually met my daughter when she was 3. So they knew her from 3. And I'm like, you're asking me to be in a scene with my daughter? Not that you can, but you can't touch each other.
Yeah.
So you can be in a scene together, but you can't touch each other, but you can touch the same guy. And I just said, no, I can't afford the psychiatry that's going to need after that. Sorry. So I did not get my daughter in porn, but I helped guide her in an industry I knew.
Right. And that makes perfect sense. Now, is she still in the business?
She has an OnlyFans. I don't know exactly what she does on her OnlyFans because it's not really my fucking business. I have asked
Mother
her.
of the fucking year. I mean, like, that's what everybody wants to hear is like, I'll help you, whatever you choose to do. I'll help you the best I can. Other than that, it's none of my fucking business. You're your own
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah, exactly. Um, so I know she has an OnlyFans. I don't know what she does. I've asked her if she thought about, going back into the industry and shooting like scenes.
Mhm.
And she said, no, 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 no. So for her, she's kind of moving on. She has her little, like, I think it's just more of a voyeur thing. She enjoys like fucking around a little bit on OnlyFans. And then she's doing motorcycle mechanic school.
Wow.
So she's got something entirely different going on. She's having a blast, enjoying it immensely. To each his own.
Yeah,
That's her.
that's good. And that kind of brings me to a point I wanted to get to because, like, we discussed, back in the day when everything was on VHS. I remember going into like video stores with my dad and we'd be walking around and then there's like either this door, this curtain, this like adults only. And he would go back there and I'd be like, I come in there. He's like, no, you got to stay out here. Well, as I got older, I realized, what he's going in there for, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a ton of it. So like I said, it wasn't as in your face as it is now. Then the internet came on. So the market was heavily saturated. Then you have
Yep.
Pornhub, all these different sites. And now you have OnlyFans. Do you think more money was made back in the day, even though you were shooting for companies, or now with the OnlyFans, people really have control of their content. They can shoot when they want to. They can shoot in their own house. They own it. They're going to get the profits from it. Which area do you think was more lucrative?
I think both. I mean, once the internet came out, we could have a website of our own,
Right.
right? So I had a website back in the day. Everyone I knew had a website. We were all girlfriends, like let's shoot for girlfriends. Now it's OnlyFans. It's a different iteration. I think ultimately it just depends on how aggressive you are and how much you want to make money, right? I think some people like the discipline of just working for a company and that's it. Let me just make my money and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people like it's in my control, and the more I do, the more I can generate, and the more I can da, 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 da. And so sky's the limit. I know some immensely popular porn stars that are making pennies on OnlyFans, and I'm just like, wow, really? And then because you can see where they're in the top
Yeah, percentile.
0.00%. Yeah. And so, I know content creators and people that are making more. And now I've started to study, oh, why are they making more? What are they doing that I'm not doing? So it just depends on how aggressive the person is.
Right.
Really. I think the potential to make money in the hands of the performer is better now than it
Yeah.
was then.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think it, like you said, I kind of agree. I think both time periods had their golden era. Like there was a lot of money to be made back then. Porn was and still is extremely popular. But now when people can have the rights to their own stuff, and like I said, you can if that's what you choose to be, you can make a studio in your house, you can have people over, you can shoot.
Yep.
So that cuts out directors, all that shit.
And now you don't have to be a webmaster. You don't have to hire a webmaster. You
Right.
are not a slave to anybody but yourself,
Yeah.
because there is no more simplistic thing than going on OnlyFans and just uploading something.
Yeah.
It can't get easier than that. Like, really.
I
So
that that girl, and I've mentioned this a few times on other podcasts, but like the girl that got famous off Dr. Phil that cashed me outside, how about that? Danielle
yeah.
Bertoli. So when she like the day she turned 18, I want to say she made some crazy amount of money, 20 something $1 million of people that was like bought her subscription right off the, I don't know if they kept it throughout the month. And I don't know what she puts on there. I'm not a subscriber to it, but I know the day she turned 18, she told everybody she was doing OnlyFans, and it was like 20 something. It may even be more than 20 something. It was a high number in the millions of dollars that she got on day fucking one. Like
Wow.
it's great. I mean, Carmen Electra even come out and's got a OnlyFans now. I mean, it's great. Everybody's doing it. Yeah.
I know for a while that OnlyFans tried to kick us adult performers off
Yeah. It
and
lasts about 2 seconds.
have a clean, OnlyFans, because they wanted to attract like musicians,
Right.
right? And I think that's fantastic, but that's what social media is. There is no,
Absolutely.
like, nobody's like, that's what social media is the behind the scenes, the up close and personal interaction with your fan base.
Mm-hmm.
That's for everybody, musicians, actors, everybody. So if you love somebody, you follow them on social media, Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is that they're using, right? I don't, I mean, there are people I'm sure that pay to see their artist, whatever, singer, actor, whatever. But they've got, I mean, if you're paying a subscription, they've got to be doing more,
Yeah.
right? I
Otherwise,
just,
why are you paying it?
right. I just don't believe that they are just want updates as to their home life.
Mhm.
No,
And I know a lot of people that even, not in the adult film industry, they do have OnlyFans pages, such as for like dieting or exercise or people that play video games. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, all types of shit on there. So yeah, that idea didn't last very long. Once that was kind of the girl that brought you to the
Funny is
dance
that.
and you're trying to kick her out of the bedroom. I mean, that didn't last very long at all. Now, with the advent of social media, like that's a huge marketing tool, a free one at that, girls in the industry, sports stars, whoever can use that to capitalize on. Kim Kardashian. I mean, all
Yep.
this can use those things to capitalize on the money they make doing shit on Facebook, like for posts and Instagram posts. It is staggering the amount of money people can make once you get to that level. It's crazy.
Yeah. So as for us porn stars, I will say it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because I feel like those platforms really don't like us.
Yeah.
Um, they want to say, well, it's not porn, so you can't be here. Like, kind of. But I see fitness models that show more than I've shown.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know, I
absolutely.
happen to have a gigantic ass, and any bikini that I might have that is a thong of any sort, my butt is going to engulf it.
Mhm.
and it's not going to look like I have anything on. And I posted something, I hit 1 million followers and I posted something, and the long and short of it is they took it. And, whatever.
And that's a lot of time to build up those followers, man. It's great.
Yep.
And those are that then directs traffic to OnlyFans and stuff like
Correct.
that. So it sucks.
Correct.
Now, Twitter doesn't seem to have a problem with it. I see a lot of shit on Twitter. Like I have to be careful where I'm at in public when I open my Twitter.
Um, Twitter has not been my favorite platform for that very reason. I travel a lot, and geez Louise, you might see somebody getting anally reamed. It's like, uh, you know,
I have
and
to
I
make
don't
sure
want
my
to
back's to the wall when I open that.
exactly. Like, don't be sitting on a plane next to somebody and not have a privacy screen on your phone because, like, you know.
Ain't no telling.
Oh.
It might come across that screen.
Yeah, and that's even like, even if you're not following porn stars, I mean, that's just like,
Yeah,
and
somebody else is gonna repost it. Somebody you're
yeah,
following is gonna repost it. I got friends. That's all they do is just post shit like that. I have to mute them sometimes. Like, damn, for the love of God, I never thought I'd say this, but I've seen enough porn for you for today. I gotta
yeah,
be around a bunch of kids here. I don't need to pull up my phone and hear a lot of moaning going on. And
yeah.
like matter of fact, that happened. I took my son to see the new Evil Dead movie. We're big horror movie fans, and we were in the theater, and it was like the previews, and I'm waiting for it to come on. And I didn't even mean to hit Twitter. I meant to hit Instagram, but it's like right beside it. And when I did,
Fat fingered
yep,
it.
fat fingered it, and up become oh, shit. And I mean, this is in the theater, so I'm like, damn, I really got to take this just off my phone. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Or have it on, like on another page so
Yeah,
that you accidentally,
where I know if I'm going to Twitter, I got to swipe over 4 screens to get to it.
yeah. Or you end up having multiple accounts like us. I have my regular real name
Mm-hmm.
account, and then I have my porn account, and now I have a backup account because, you know, it is probably going to sound stupid because I'm not a lover of social media. But once you get in there and you start saving stuff, and oh, I found this recipe, and then oh, I found this, and oh, I love this house. I want to, maybe have this house, and then they take your account, and you're like, fuck.
Lost all those
It's
memories.
like it's like losing a photo album.
Yeah, no,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
how am I ever gonna find those? I didn't even know who I was following. Took me a bit to remember who the fuck was I following.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have it replicated on several accounts because yeah.
Yeah,
Who
because
knows?
eventually, like you said, you're gonna post a pic, and it's gonna rub somebody wrong,
Who
and
knows?
it's gonna come down.
And that, the algorithm and that whole thing, it might be just a fan that says, I don't, a hater, if you
Yeah,
will. And
yeah.
they just press, I'm going to report that. And then, you have 5 seconds to reply. And if you didn't reply in the right way, then, then you have a strike against you.
I think
And if
that is the
it's,
most bitch thing somebody can do is report
oh, it's
something.
ridiculous.
Like it's
It's
fucking
ridiculous.
asinine.
Or how about this? Like, I was taking a selfie one day. I frequently take selfies that I don't use filters on. I have people request that. I have people request me with no makeup on. To each his own. I'm an older lady. There's a niche for that. So shut the fuck up if you don't like it. Get off my platform. If you don't like me, don't follow me.
Yeah, it's real easy.
But you don't have to come on my post and be like, girl, you should hang it up. You've got, wrinkles and this and that, and you're just not who you used to be. Okay, well, bye.
Well, who the fuck is it? I mean, people age. That's just a normal fucking stages of life.
My favorite quote. Just leave it there. My favorite quote from Game of Thrones. Nothing fucks you harder than time. Ultimately, my favorite. I tell people every time if somebody says, I'm having a birthday, it's my birthday, come to my party. I'm like, yeah, oh, yeah, I'll come, blah, 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 blah. But keep this in mind. Nothing fucks you harder than time.
That's absolutely,
You
that's
know,
absolutely right. I wanted to ask you really quick before we wrap it up here. Your tattoo on your arm there, that looks pretty interesting. What is that?
my God arm.
Okay.
So it took me a long, long time to first off be able to speak about God. I don't necessarily believe some Santa Claus fucking, in the sky dude. I definitely think there's something out there, but I believe more in the cloud,
Mhm.
if you will. I think we all came from some giant cloud and it had cognition and it wanted more data, and knowledge is data. And so it sent us out and particled out, and we have interactions. And that's how this being is learning, through our interactions, right? So we are all a part of God and we are all one. And that's why you shouldn't hate anybody, right?
Absolutely.
But once I figured out I was okay with the discussion of God, I started to realize that my whole life has been about that God, like, about God, for a lack of a better word. So in the first part of my life was about serving a God, and then the middle part was about, I don't believe that, and trying to redoctrinate myself.
Mhm.
And now I believe in the qualities that gods represent. So when I first did it, the first one was Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is the goddess of mercy. I
Right.
believe I've been shown a lot of mercy in my life, and I'm grateful. Um, Next is Buddha. I don't know if you can see that very
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Buddha is the god of knowledge and intellect, right? I think that's what we're meant to do on this planet, is enlighten ourselves, right? So he's the god of enlightenment.
Yeah.
I think this one was supposed to be Shiva. I'll get back to what it ended up being. It was supposed to be Shiva. And Shiva, the concept is sometimes you got to burn that bridge. Sometimes you got to burn shit down, right? It's just a part of renewal. It's a
Right.
part of life. It's a good part of life, right?
Yeah.
You sometimes the best forests and the greenest pastures and everything come from after a fire.
Absolutely.
So I think sometimes you have to say no, you have to destroy, you have to start again, you have to like have the destruction part. And then there's Ganesh, who is the god of new beginnings. Because after you've destroyed it, you get a second
Got to build
chance.
it back again. Yeah.
You get another chance. This one ended up being, this is Kuan Yin in her version of helping the world. So many helping hands. The beauty of that is, by accident, I put something on my body that is very much me. I think if I have a friend, I will help them. I will help them sometimes to my own detriment. Like, I just am very much a believer in the human plight and a helper. I try to help people. I have a lot of empathy for people. And even though I say I hate people, I hate stupid, but I always want to help people. Does that make sense?
No, it
And then,
does. And that is a very cool concept how you've kind of mixed all those together, not only to like, you have your reasons that they're on there. I'm kind of similar to like every tattoo that I have has some sort of meaning, whether it was a period in my life or just something to remember a time period or a new beginning.
yeah,
Maybe not necessarily directly related to that, but when I see that tattoo, I remember, oh, that's when, I got my first job, or I got that one before I got married, or, all of them represent a huge turning point in my life, good or bad, and like
yeah,
you said,
oh, yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I remember I got that one when I was at my lowest, but now look at me now. And to be able to put all that into a sleeve tattoo, that's really awesome. I think that's kick ass for sure.
Thank
All
you.
the same artist did all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Artists are like kind of like your significant other. Once you find one, you can't cheat
Yeah.
on them. You gotta let them do you for the
Yeah.
rest of your life till they hang up the needle.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell you, I took concepts to him. I took artwork that I found online, and I just said, cluster them however like, you do you, boo boo.
Yeah. And that's the best way to do it sometimes, because if
Yeah.
you walk in there with an idea, maybe you don't have the vision that they do, and they can just really bring it to light.
Yeah. And sometimes you have this idea that you think will translate into a tattoo, and it doesn't. Like, I want the tiger coming out of this body, and like, and it just is like, No, you just made a mongoloid.
Yeah.
You didn't make it look good, you know? But you got to kind of let the artist say, okay, we can do this. This is within our realm. We can't do what you're trying to do, though. You know?
You got to trust the process. Now,
Mhm.
at one time, I know you either already have or touring with the idea of doing a book.
That's funny you mentioned that. I have somebody coming at the end of the month. We're going to begin.
Okay. So you're going to begin.
Yeah, we're going to begin writing my biography. I've had quite a few lives, you know? I think everybody who's made it to 52 has had multiple iterations of their life, right?
Absolutely.
Um, but I think I have seen quite the full spectrum, and I would like to put that into words, and I would like to set some records straight, you
Yeah.
know? If you YouTube, I don't know if you can find it still, but if you YouTube me, you might even be able to find somebody linked it to me one time and I was like, what? Somebody put on there on YouTube that I was a man at one point in time. But I've given birth. And in 1995, you could not no men could give birth. So
The shit that people can come up
and
with.
I have pictures. I have proof.
Yeah. If you don't believe it, damn it, go to that OnlyFans. Go ahead and subscribe there. You can see for yourself, folks, if you got any
Right,
questions about the matter.
right.
Do you have a working title for it, or is that still kind of in
No,
limbo?
now we're just gonna sit down and begin penning.
Well, we wish you luck on that when you get everything hammered out. We'd love to have you back on the show. You can
Thank you. I would
push,
love that.
yeah, promote it. Tell everybody before we get out of here where they can go to find you on all your social medias.
Um, Instagram is now Ryan Connor X World. Um, Twitter is Ryan Connor 69. OnlyFans, I think, is Ryan Connor 69 as well. Um, RyanConnor.com, which is about to get a huge, massive facelift, having somebody else do it, and we're gonna just completely brand new. Yeah. So I think that's everything. I think there's a Facebook in there too, but I don't remember what it is.
I'm assuming most people now have like the link trees into their Instagram. We tried putting direct links and we got a little slap on the wrist and a spanking by YouTube. So
Yeah.
we can direct them to your
Good.
Instagrams. Yeah, I mean it's like, okay, I can put the Instagram link and then they can click that and go there. Or if I put the direct one to save them a click, then I get in trouble. But
Right.
it is what it is. You got to play by the
Right.
rules sometimes. Well, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. It's
Yeah.
fun walking down memory lane.
Well, I hope I threw out some good questions for you. I really do appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Hollywood Wade. That was the beautiful Ryan Connor. And unfortunately, we are out of time. So tune in next week for an all new episode of Crime and Entertainment. Ryan, we appreciate you.
Thank you, sweetheart.